Okay, so today we are going to deal with female dating strategy, and this is episode 2. So the question today is, what are some critical expectations to set early on? So for example, the most high value way to respond when a man suggests a coffee date instead of a real date, etc. I mean, a coffee date can be a real date, but I can understand the desire to be taken out and treated to a luxury dinner instead of just getting a cup of coffee, and it seems like you're kind of selling yourself short if you decide to give yourself to a man after just one cup of coffee. So ladies, do not do that. Something I've seen a lot of recently is strategy dealing with how to set a man's expectations on how you expect for him to treat you from the beginning. It is extremely important to get these critical interactions correct the first time. If men know you will accept less effort from the beginning, it is impossible to backtrack on that later on. I don't think it's just necessarily the men who need to put in a great amount of effort, but if the female puts in or makes herself seem like a high valued individual, then the men will feel that they need to rise to that type of level as well. So for example, the coffee date. There are differing views regarding what is the ideal response to a man's suggesting a coffee date. One thing all strategies have in common is that if you allow a man to even begin to think that he has a shot winning you by buying you a mocha latte, then you're setting the relationship up for failure. I mean, if you want a successful relationship, you should not be giving yourself up in the first date either way. Nevertheless, I don't think that's a bad idea to go on a coffee date with a man and to interact with them in an environment that's a bit more comfortable, rather than going on a long dinner date with someone you potentially don't have any sort of connection with, or especially if there's no sort of long-term goals that man has for the date. At least a coffee date can be short and sweet, and if you see that he is not looking for a long-term relationship, then it can easily be ended quickly without having to drag on. So my question is this: what are the pivotal moments in developing the relationship from day one in your opinion? What are the critical situations where you show him you won't accept anything less than a man with high value? What are the ideal responses to those scenarios? And what are you looking for in his response to show that he is where you want him to be? Basically, how do you set yourself up for the best chance of success by vetting that a man is willing to meet and exceed your standards from day one? Honestly, one of the best ways to have him raise the bar and have high standards is by setting them high yourself. If you put the question to the man of how he can attract a high-valued female, he will feel the need to go and to put in the extra effort to show that he's a high-valued male that is worthy of such a female. You can't just expect every man to see you as high value. You need to take action and do things that promote this type of high-value attitude. It's the confidence you exude, it's the physical appeal, the effort that you put into your wardrobe, your makeup, the way that you speak, the way that you present yourself. All of these are criteria that are needed in order to show that you are high value. And if he sees you as being a high value female, then he will rise to the occasion and he will desire you more than any other woman. Okay, so let's see what the first responder says. Basically, tell him all of your past boyfriends and love interests have treated you well. Never tell him you were abused or slept with a lot of people. I very much agree with this point. Whether you had good or bad relationships in the past, setting a man up to see you as a victim or to see you as someone who's been treated poorly, that just opens the door for him to potentially do that, or for him to feel like as long as he gives you a bit more attention than your previous boyfriend, then he'll be successful in this relationship. When in reality, you're not looking for just a mediocre man. You're looking for someone of higher value, and you need to set the standard that you will accept nothing less, and you have accepted nothing less in the past because you are high value yourself. So if you want to be respected, you have to be a classy lady. You have to present yourself well and demand that he respects you. If he disrespects you, call him out on it or leave. Me, personally, I always come with the attitude that no way in hell am I ever going to pay on a date he invited me out on. That's just manners and common courtesy. Whoever asked who out pays, final. I'm not sleeping with anyone either. Don't care how much he paid or the price. As a woman, he is demanding your time, demanding your presence. He is demanding you put yourself together and spend time with him, not the other way around. You need to be paid and invested into. We're assets. Women are valued assets, and men should treat us in a way that demonstrates this. I agree with this responder who says that we need to also present ourselves as a classy lady. We need to also put the effort in. A man should pay on the date. It shows chivalry. It shows that he wants to take charge. You want those alpha males who you'll be attracted to. There's too many beta males in this world today, where all these new feminist movements are pushing for men to be more emotional, more compassionate, to be more in sync with women's feelings. And this new approach is leading to a lot of women not being attracted to the men that they go on dates with. And this potentially can be the reason or factor that leads to many failed relationships or many women feeling that they cannot find these high-valued men. If you approach it in a way where you are searching for that individual, that dominant male, who's going to take charge, who's going to pay for the date, and who's going to have to rise up to your standards because you present yourself as a classy lady, as a high-valued female, then you'll most likely be successful in the relationship. Here's the second response. There really is no standard bar or standard set of critical situations, because every woman quite clearly has different standards and different requirements and different expectations. Everyone here talks about high-value man, as if this is such a general term, and as if all he needs to do is take you out on nice dates, be attentive, be consistent, and not be an asshole. And boom, he is labeled as a high-valued male. I really don't see anyone talking about a man's values, or even their own values to determine if his are compatible with her own, to see if they both value the same types of things highly. I mean, what are your needs, and does he meet them? What do you value, and does he value these things? Or do you have to try to coach him and coerce him into valuing you and the things that you value? Because if you do, that's not who he is. That's the representative he's showing you in order to accomplish the goal of having you. This is not compatible, nor the point of a partnership. The values of a male are important, but I also think values are somewhat fluid and evolving. I think that they should not be the same necessarily as a female's values, or else you're never going to be uplifted, you're never going to learn. You need to be challenged with differing views, differing values. You also don't want a man who's just going to conform and submit to whatever a female's values are. Those are not the alpha males that we're looking for in this scenario. Those are not the ones that will last long term. You want a man to value his female. You want him to want to treat her nicely. You want him to value her opinion. But you also don't want him to just change his own thoughts or just take on any views that the female has. That's not a relationship worth investing time and effort into. It's not sustainable. So I do agree with this person in a sense that, yeah, you don't just want a man who seems attentive, consistent, and not an asshole, but I also think that there's a responsibility of a woman to demonstrate and to request these types of criteria from a male. I mean, many males, given the opportunity to set themselves down the right path, will take that chance, and they'll do the best that they can in order to achieve success there. They're driven. They want to be. They want to have a female that desires them. They want to desire a female. That's their human nature. But a lot of females just automatically, if they don't see these characteristics from the get-go, then they give up. They have no long-term commitment goals, and they tend to leave these relationships in hopes that they can find someone better. When in reality, you're not always just going to find someone better. You have to put the effort in order to make the relationship work and to teach the male and to have the male teach you what you both desire. Have some compromises. Relationships are tough. I mean, I've been with my husband for over 10 years, and it's not easy on a daily basis it's easy, but on a weekly, monthly, or yearly basis, there are times when it's more of a roller coaster. It's up and down. We always get along, but to keep the love alive and to have that constant attraction, we need to keep evolving. I can say we're not the same people that we were 10 years ago, or not even close. Our views have changed, our goals have changed, but what has stayed consistent is our drive to fulfill each other and to please each other, both emotionally, sexually, and to mold ourselves and our family into what we both desire most. We want a future together, and therefore, because we're driven, we have that commitment to one another, and we're going to keep working at it. It's not something that just happens overnight, and it's not something you can just expect from an individual to have innately. It's something that you need to work towards together. So I think it's important to identify and be clear on your own personal set of standards. And then from there, when you meet people and they do something that isn't perfectly in alignment with your set of ideal standards, it'll be easier for you to identify whether that person made a mistake, which can be fixed, or if that person is a mistake, who should be removed from your life. Well, I mean, mistakes can always be fixed, but it is true that there's some people who just are not worthy of attention. Okay, so let me know what you think. What are some critical expectations to set early on for a man? Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and make sure to subscribe for more.